Hey Ubers, Vivian here with another video tutorial using Scraps of Darkness's The Black Album September 2013 kit. I want to share with you today a happy accident that I had while making my first video using the kit. That video was called Working on Black, I believe. And this is a bookmark that I ended up not sharing because I didn't like how it turned out. But I didn't want to waste all the beautiful Heidi Swapp mists that were included in our color add-on that had pooled on top of the mask. This mask is from the Crafters Workshop and Rhonda Palazzari. But so I decided just to flip an art journal page on top of these beautiful colors. They glisten quite a bit. These mists in particular show up on a black surface. So that's something nice because all of the pattern papers in this kit, many of them have that black chalkboard look. But my first video is about working on black. Today I have, this art journal page is actually like a mixed media. You can see that's Canson mixed media paper. So it's not really thick, but it really absorbs pigment well from mists. So I would suggest if you do this technique to use a sort of artist paper. It doesn't have to be immensely high quality, but something that will absorb the mists nicely. I tried this on pattern papers, this particular technique, and it didn't work as well. But so I was very excited about the results of my art journal page, so I decided to play around some more. This is a craft mat underneath my Crafters Workshop stencil, and it has a nice grain to it. It's of course non-absorbent, but it has that little kind of rough feeling to it, so that translates to the final product. And I am no jelly plate expert. I am no monoprint expert. I will confess to you that I have jelly plates. I haven't taken them out of the box yet because I made a commitment that I would have my craft room cleaned up. So look at this result. I am so excited about that. I had a commitment to myself to clean up my craft room and create a dedicated space for my jelly plates, but that hasn't happened yet. So anyway, I'm just spritzing my mists that came in our color add-on on top. And I'm playing around, so I stuck a sheet of that mixed media paper on top of this. And the result is somewhat different than you would get if you were just to spritz through the stencil on top of your paper. A little bit more textury because of that craft mat underneath. And this silicone mat actually was in a set of silicone mats I found at Costco. They were very well priced, and I prefer to use these, even though they weren't specifically meant for crafting, because they're much more affordable. So look at this. You get so much fine detail because of the way these mists pool on this particular mask. They sort of pool along the edges of those fine stems and along the edges of these beautiful little bud shapes. So I was very excited about that, and I wanted to share it with you in a secondary video. So here you can see it's kind of a grungy result, and you can still see there's lots of color there. It's mixed together. The pink mist and the blue mist from Heidi Swapp have sort of mixed together to make some pretty lavenders that are very shimmery. These mists have a lot of shimmer, but look at those fine details. I love that. And this was just using what was left on my craft mat once I lifted up the stencil. And let me show you the last one, which happens to be my favorite. This is the stencil only that had pigment pooled on top of the stencil with a clean mat underneath. So detailed. And that happened all with just one action of placing that paper on top of the stencil. So you have 3 different effects. So I tried this also with the Heidi Swapp mask that was included in the kit. This is different mixes of tinsel, teal, and pink. Those are the mists that were included, the Heidi Swapp Color Shine mists. And I just love all the little dotty effects that happen with this technique. I think if you have a different type of craft mat underneath, the results will be different. but it's just a little bit grungier, a little bit more texture. So I could imagine these would be very funky. But here are the results of the Crafters Workshop Rhonda Palitzari stencil work. It almost has literal texture, like bumps, which is very, very cool to me. And I think this was my favorite because you just see so much definition. This was just pigment on the mask and nothing else. So there was no, I cleaned off the mat underneath, and the pigment pooled right along the edges of these beautiful lines and curves. I came back to this exercise the next day using the dry stencil. So there's a little bit of mist still left on this stencil. It's completely dry. I just wanted to see what would happen and share with you what the results were. I spritzed it just quite a bit actually, and the pigment resaturated again, which was great. This is a lot of water on here. I think maybe if I did it again, I would do it with a little bit less water, but you can see it's moving around on there. And the paper got very wet, but it dried up quickly enough. And the final result was very, very subtle, and might be nice for a different project. See that? So Halloween is quickly approaching, and those of us who participate in the paper crafting industry have all of our Halloween paper crafting supplies out. I actually, once all the supplies come out, I'm not really thinking about Halloween. I'm thinking about how beautiful spider webs are and how beautiful spiders are, and what an incredible combination of power and grace you find in the tiny spider. So I stamped some spiderweb patterns onto my, quote, monoprinted paper. I really was so excited about this because for those of you guys who don't own any monoprinting supplies, I think this is a way of sort of venturing into the world of monoprinting as I have here, and not having to have all of the monoprinting tools on hand. It's very much about laying down pigment randomly and throwing paper on top and seeing what happens. So here's a beautiful, graceful spider. I'm just using some black soot distress ink for all of it. What I love about the distress inks is, and I will do it with this project, is I'm going to spritz on top in select areas, and some of those patterns will become murky and lend to a sort of atmospheric effect. The great thing about having a larger piece of paper for this type of activity is that in the end, once all of your papers have dried, you can find areas that are more interesting to you than others, and not be too precious about your creation, about your piece of paper, and just cut out the areas that you like and use this. You will have plenty of opportunities to use the scraps in subsequent projects. So I actually originally had planned to do a 5x7 card front. This is just a little bit smaller than a 5x7. But in the end, I just sort of looked at it and decided that it would look better to me as more of a square. So I just hacked off that last part. I used a blending tool along the edges with some more black soot distress ink, and I also added some distress ink to the card base onto which I matted this little project. I thought about adding some embellishments, but I decided in the end I just wanted to leave it as is. I have some stilts for you. This was with the stuff that had dried up on the mask, resaturated with water. This was when I lifted away the mask and just used the pigment left on the craft mat. Here was just the pigment on the stencil and nothing on the craft mat. And this was the one that I used for the project, which was pigment all over everything. And another detail from that final card project. And here's the card. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm really excited I got to share with you my discovery as it was happening. If you haven't gotten enough inspiration from me, you can visit me on my site. That's www.contadinak.com. And for more information on the tools I used in this project, you can visit www.scrapsofdarkness.com. It was really fun getting back to mixed media, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.